And joining me now is Lisa Curtis, a senior fellow and director of the Indo-Pacific Security Program at the Center for a New American Security. Ms. Curtis, really appreciate your time. President Donald Trump, just a few minutes ago on Truth Social, has posted saying that the calls, basically he has said that Iranian patriots must go ahead and seize institutions, and he has promised that help is on its way. How credible is this as a catalyst for regime change, given his first term record, ma'am?
Well, I think these are protests that have started internally against the economic situation. They show the frustration of the Iranian people, but we've also seen a severe crackdown by the military establishment in Iran. A lot of people are reportedly being killed in this crackdown. So, there are a lot of questions about, what impact the U.S. can have on this situation. And while people were talking about a military option, I think the Trump administration is moving away from the idea of military strikes because those could in fact backfire. I think if anything, they would focus on the sanctions, the economic blockade. Because if you talk about a military strike, that could actually backfire. It won't help the protesters in any way. And in fact, it could backfire because it could allow the military establishment in Iran to focus people's ire on a third party, on the United States. So I think what we see is the Trump administration may be backing away from that idea that it will interfere militarily in Iran right now, and is really focused on trying to encourage the protesters and help the protesters. President Trump has also been talking about, Starlink and trying to break the internet crackdown in Iran. So that seems to be the focus now, trying to help the protesters in any way that the United States can.
So are you then seeing this, that what's really on the table of US president is not military option, but perhaps the maximum pressure stance will be essentially of that tariff punishment or punitive tariff with any nation that trades with Iran?
Yes, that does seem to be the focus of the Trump administration now. And I know that could impact India because India does have some trading relations with Iran. India invests in the Chabahar port in Iran, so there could be an impact on India-Iranian trade, as well as many other countries. So I think the economic pressure is what President Trump seems to be focusing on at the moment, because again, the military option could badly backfire and would not really help the protesters in any meaningful way. So I think the focus now is on economic pressure on the regime, trying to get information in and out of Iran through different ways, and making sure that the protesters know that the United States supports them and what they're trying to do. But it's going to be tough. There's a severe crackdown on the Iranian protesters, and the sense is that things will likely only get worse for those protesters.
Okay, since you've spoken about India, let's try and put the spotlight on India, ma'am. With India maintaining Chabahar port development and energy ties to Iran despite the US sanctions, how should New Delhi then balance its strategic autonomy against Washington's pressure, and especially under this Trump's renewed maximum pressure campaign?
Well, India did cut its imports of Iranian oil in 2019 during the first Trump administration. So, India has many trading partners. Iran is just one. So I think that, there will be a desire to work with the United States. We now have the arrival of the new U.S. ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, who arrived in India last week and has been making positive statements about the trade negotiations because there had been some concern that those negotiations had stalled. So there's some hope that with the arrival of the new ambassador, we'll see some new energy put into concluding those trade negotiations. So yes, the sanctions on countries that are trading with Iran won't be helpful, but at the same time, I think there is a desire on both sides, both the United States and India, to complete a trade deal and to move forward with the relationship. And so I think, we can have some hope that things will change. Of course, it was recently announced that India was invited to join PAC Silica, the critical and emerging technology group. And so I think this is a positive sign that the United States sees India as a critical partner on so many issues, defense cooperation, technology, trade and investment. So I think that while the Iran situation is putting a little bit more pressure on the U.S.-India partnership, I don't see it as coming to some kind of breaking point. I think we're seeing some positive movement with the arrival of the U.S. ambassador to India, and they'll be able to work through the trade issues that are currently dividing them.
And just minutes ago, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has put out a tweet, Ms. Curtis, and he has said that just concluded a good conversation with Secretary Rubio, discussed trade, critical minerals, nuclear cooperation, defense and energy, agreed to remain in touch on these and other issues. So are you sensing that there is potentially now both the countries looking at common grounds, and the trade deal could very well be on the anvil? The sense in New Delhi was that a trade deal with US would be perhaps inked in 2025. That did not happen. In 2026, are you able to sense some kind of a timeline now?
Well, I hate to make any predictions on this trade deal, because we go back to the spring when everybody thought that the U.S.-India trade deal would be the first trade deal completed
right.
between the Trump administration and other countries. And of course, that didn't happen. And then we started hearing that, well, by November, trade deal will be completed by November. So I would hate to be too optimistic here. But what I do sense is that there is interest being shown through the arrival of the new U.S. ambassador to India, the fact that he will be able to improve the communication lines, hopefully will be sensitized to some of the issues in India, and will understand the sensitivity, the political sensitivity of the agriculture sector in India, and why India has had protectionist policies for so long in this sector. And that they will come to some kind of understanding that the U.S. will also be willing to move toward India in recognition of the importance of the strategic partnership. Look, at a volatile time in the world that we see right now, Venezuela, Iran, Middle East, all these issues, India is an important country. It's an important swing state that the United States needs to have a good relationship with. So I think there's growing recognition of the importance of the U.S.-India strategic partnership, and there may be some willingness for more give and take when it comes to those sticky trade issues.
Ms. Curtis, before I let you go, a word on what is being sensed here, particularly with regards to the support that the US president has openly extended to the protesters against the Khamenei regime, that he's working on Israel's agenda, that US is pushing Israel's agenda for a regime change in Iran.
I don't think that's correct at all. I don't know what Israel's agenda would be, but the idea here is that these protests were spontaneous. They are because people are frustrated and fed up with the corrupt Iranian regime. They are fed up with the economic hardships that they face day in, day out. So they are organizing amongst themselves. This is not something that the United States has started. This has been organic. It has started within Iran itself. And so President Trump is simply trying to support those protesters for their freedom. And so I don't think it's correct to say that the US is really doing anybody's bidding except for the people of Iran and trying to support their aspirations for freedom, for political change.
All right, Lisa Curtis. Pleasure speaking to you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts. Of course, this is a developing situation, and we hope to connect with you again soon, whenever that deal is inked. Thank you for joining us.